So, this is the first video in a new series of videos I have planned for my channel where I'm going to be discussing my favourites, and we're kicking it off with my favourite magic systems. I have 5 magic systems to talk about in this video, and the first can be found in the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson. It's called Allomancy, and the way it works is the burning of metals to gain abilities. Now there are 2 types of magical beings in Mistborn, and they are called Mistborn and Mistings. Mistings are able to burn and use one type of metal to gain one type of ability. For example, a tin eye can consume and burn tin to enhance their senses, whereas Mistborn are able to consume and burn all of the allomantic metals. I absolutely love this magic system. It is a very hard magic system. There are a lot of rules, and it's an incredibly clever magic system, and Brandon Sanderson really put a lot of work into making the system make a lot of sense, and it makes for some really cool fight scenes, which usually I struggle to visualise how fight scenes are going and how they are working, but that just is not the case in this series of books. I've read the first 3 books in the Mistborn series. I am planning to move on and read the other books in the series very soon, and I just find it very easy to understand and follow everything that is happening in those fight scenes, and it just is really fun. Although this list is in no particular order, I think that Allomancy is my favourite magic system in any book that I have ever read. The next magic system I'm going to talk about can be found in the Archived series by V.E. Schwab. This is a bind-up of the 2 books that are currently in the series, because it should have been a trilogy, but because of some publication problems, the 3rd book has never been released, and in fact I don't think that Schwab has actually written it. But the magic system in this series is more of a world-based magic system. And in this world, we have a place called the library. Instead of being a place to store books, the library stores the souls of people who have died in a body recreated from before they died. The librarians are responsible for caring for those souls within the library. However, sometimes these souls awaken and they escape the library, and our protagonist in this series, along with others like her, are called the Keepers, and their job is to prevent the souls from escaping the in-between place between the library and our world. I've only read the 1st book in this series so far. I'm a little nervous about reading the 2nd book, considering the conclusion doesn't exist, but I just find the premise of this magic system fascinating, and I did really enjoy the 1st book for that reason. So I definitely think that just for originality, it deserves its place on this list. Next up we have Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett, which is also an incredibly unique magic system. In this world, the magic system is called scriving, and scriving is a particular language which allows you to change the description of any item that you write on in this scriving language. So it's a little bit difficult to explain, but essentially you could scrive a plank of wood into believing that actually it's not a plank of wood, it's a slab of concrete, and then that plank of wood would act like a slab of concrete, so it could be used to hold up a building, for example. Or alternatively, you could scribe a door to believe that it can only open for a specific person or to a specific key, which I just think is fascinating. And what I really like about the magic system is that it's made very clear from the outset that it's a skill-based magic system. You can't just randomly get these abilities and be able to use them. In this story, only very dedicated and learned individuals can develop their scriving vocabulary to be able to successfully scribe objects and understands the science behind scribing. It's incredibly complex, it's incredibly detailed, and it's incredibly fun. I really enjoy it. Alongside that, we also have a protagonist who is able to touch any object and understand its history. So for example, she could touch a brick wall and understand where all the handholds are so that she could climb it, or she could touch a door and understand everybody who'd walked through that door recently. I think the combination of those two magic systems is fascinating, and I cannot wait for the next installments in this series. I believe it's going to be, yeah, it says the Founders trilogy, so it's going to be a trilogy, and I can't wait for the rest of the books and the further development of this magic system because I think it's going to be amazing. Then we have a bit of a different one, which is Howls Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones, and I was first introduced to this magic system through the Studio Ghibli film of Howls Moving Castle, and I only discovered that this was a book last year, so I read it for the first time last year, and I didn't enjoy it as much as the film, but that's not through any fault of the book, and purely through the fact that the film is my absolute favourite film of all time, and really it wasn't going to be possible for this book to surpass my feelings about that film. The magic system really is centred around a fire demon named Calcifer, who uses his magic to operate the moving castle. And I don't want to say any more than that because I don't want to get into spoilers in this video, but I just find the magic system in this book and in the film just so much fun. It's whimsical. It is a children's book, so you would expect it to be whimsical, but it really is. It's not a hard magic system at all. It's a very soft magic system, and that isn't usually my thing, but I just love how fun and light and whimsical this magic system is, and that's why it's on this list. Finally, we have another very complicated magic system. In case you hadn't guessed, that's kind of my thing. We have Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson, and to be honest, the fact that we've only got 2 Sanderson books on this list is pretty good going on my part, so I'm giving myself a pat on the back there. This magic system is one of the most complicated magic systems that I've ever read. It is centred around colours and breath. So individuals in this world are born with one breath, and that's it. You have one breath, end of story, unless somebody gifts you a breath. You can give away your breath, but you can't steal breath from another person. And the more breath you have, the more power you have. And the way this links into colours is the more power you have, the more breath you have, the more vivid colours are. And you can then use the breath and the colour to do a number of things, but one of the coolest things I think you can do is animate inanimate objects. So for example, you could take a piece of rope and, very similar to Foundryside, you can get it to do what you want. It works very differently because in Foundryside you would tell the rope to become a piece of steel instead, and it would. In this, you tell it to do a specific thing, so hold things, for example, and it would maybe bind a person's hands if that's what you were trying to do. But then there is also a very specific language that you have to use with the breath and the colour to make things do what you want them to do. You can't just say anything. It has to be a very specific pattern of words. I'm not explaining this incredibly well because it is just so complicated, and this is only the first book. This is the only book out in what will eventually be a trilogy, I believe. At the moment it's standalone. You can 100% read it as a standalone, but it really does take a while to get your head around the magic system in this one, and for that reason I actually really preferred this book on a reread because I felt like once I understood the magic system by the end of the book, because the magic system is fed to you so slowly throughout the book as you discover it with the characters. Once I then went back and reread it, I noticed a whole lot more that I didn't notice the first read because I didn't understand the magic system as well. But either way, it's a fascinating magic system, super creative, super fun, and I just love magic systems that are full of rules, and this one, it's chock full of rules. And that's it. Those are 5 magic systems that I absolutely love. I would love it if you'd let me know down below if you have any favourite magic systems that I didn't mention, and let me know what book they're from so that I can read them too. And if you have read any of these, did you like the magic system? Do you have any that you prefer over these, or did you maybe not like one of these magic systems? Please let me know. I love chatting with you in the comments, and that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and want to see more like this from me, then do think about hitting that subscribe button, and I hope to see you here again soon. Thanks! Bye!